Hello, you. Welcome to Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore, and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. All right, thank you for being here. Let's get this bowl, this cup, this beautiful canvas of tea leaves up here, and we're gonna just get started. I'm not gonna really do much of an intro aside from I'm very happy to feel you. I'm very happy to be here communing with you. We start with the number 27. I can't tell you exactly what this means for you, but for me, this is a divine connection. Okay, the 27, the 72, these are numbers that really represent, in my estimation anyhow, represent a unification of necessity. Okay, a unification of wanting, a bond formed in a common goal. The work is aligned. It is not the same, but it is aligned. This is a number that I like to think of as like a love, a bond, a union that dwells in something called parallel play. Okay, this is a concept I learned from, child education stuff. I'm not an educator, but I have a child, so I read extensively about, I don't know, some of the things that you do, right, when a kid is developing, a baby especially. And so parallel play is when kids are about, 1.5, 2, they start playing with toys in a more complex way. They can hold their attention with it. Now, they're starting to show interest in other children, also wanting to play with other kids, but they're not to that point where they're playing the same game together necessarily. But what they do is they'll sit next to each other and play with their own toys. And that is playing, parallel playing, right? And so to have a bond with somebody as an older person, as a person that is also doing some kind of work, right? If it's interior, if it's self-work, if it is building your career, your creativity, things around the house, like whatever it is, this is, us neurodivergent or neurospicy, as people like to say. We often do things like this where we want to be around each other, or but we don't necessarily want to do the same thing. So we sit in the same room, maybe on the same couch, or one at the couch, one at the table, or whatever, and do our own projects, but we're still together, right? And when we are doing the divine work, right, or the self-work, the interior work, magic, spiritual work, whatever it is, to find a bond with somebody where you can build, but it is also has established boundaries that allow you to really focus on that work that you yourself are doing, right? But you're also being fed and feeding somebody through the synergy of being able to, well, a lot of times it's just about co-regulating each other's nervous systems, right? you know how you just feel good when you're around certain people? And I don't mean like, oh, I'm attracted, or, oh, I just like, I want to tell them everything, or I want to show off. I hope that they like me. Like this kind of feeling. No, this is like when you come home from a long day, from school or something, right? And you come home and you and your mom, you sit down on the couch for a second and you just put your head against her shoulder, against her chest, and she just holds you and you don't even have to say anything. And you're co-regulating each other's nervous systems, right? Now, it doesn't have to be overt though. Sometimes it's just we're in the same rooms with people. We're, on likened paths. We can bounce, ideas off of each other. What I like to call, which I kind of took from, maybe I appropriated it from 5%, within rap is where I heard this. But it's to build, right? We come together, we sit in a circle together, and we build with ideas, with concepts, with thought forms, right? But also through the energy that we are literally putting off from our bodies. Okay, so I know this has been long for one symbol, but it's important. The 27, the 72, these are numbers that are not just about coming into a place of fortification. It's a place of opportunity, of choice, and support. It is safe. Okay? So when you find this person, or if you have this person, or if you are actively dwelling in this dynamic already, take care of it. Take care of it. Okay? We forget so often how important our connections are. Not just on a surface level, not in a socializing, even the surface level of family interactions. The gossip and the back and forth and the this and that. None of that matters. I mean, listen, it matters, but none of that matters, right? Unless there is truly mistreatment happening, then of course we don't shrug that off. But for the most part, a lot of the stuff that gets us twisted up doesn't really matter. Did you get invited? Did they do it how you wanted them to? Can you believe they're doing the same theme that I did 5 years ago? Whatever. I don't have anything personally going on like this, so if anybody I know, it has nothing to do with any of the stuff going on. But I see this in people constantly. You know what I mean? Like families just fighting over silliness, nonsense. And I have too. I'm not saying that I haven't. Of course I have. I love to argue. I don't do it so much now because I feel like now when people say like my nerves, I'm having a case of the nerves. That's me, man. I don't want to get all twisted up about anything. My nerves go from like, oh, I'm okay, I'm good, things are good, to like, having a panic attack in the middle of the grocery store. I'm good on all of that. So we have the letter J up here. We also have the letter W. J and W. Okay, so maybe somebody with a J name. Seems important. A W. Oh, okay, so we also have the number 3 right up here. We have the number 3. Oops, let's get in there. Now it looks like we have the tail of a siren, or a siren, not the bird ones. So we have something distractive. Look at that. Maybe it's not JW, maybe it's JM, because look at, we have JM here. Again, repeated. MJ, JM, something like that. We also have the number 19. We have somebody coming around, distracting, causing trouble. Now we have the house. We have what looks to me like a hill or a walk, maybe like a little passageway that you like to go down, or a little park or a trail, or maybe it's on your property, or you live in one of them places that are fancy. They have like a pond or something around the way. I see a person sitting and contemplating. Okay. We also have the letter P right here. We have a lighthouse right here. We have the number 6 above it. Now, I'm just giving you numbers. I'm not going to elaborate on most of them when I call them out, because they might be lucky numbers for you. They might be numbers that are synchronizing, or they're synchronicities for you. And I don't want to go on and on about numbers all day long, because I will. You heard how I was on the 27. I'm not a numerologist either, so obviously numbers are quite sacred and they're going to show up. Okay, so we have somebody hiking. We also have what it looks like a horse right here. Okay. We also have a person with a dog on a leash up here. Oh no, it's a turtle. It's a snapping turtle with its mouth open. And there's a person riding on it. Look at it, right? Here's the head, here's the body, arm down. There we go. Okay, I'm going to pull this out. I want to see. This kind of looks like it would be a face. It looks like a bird's face. Look, like a pretty bird. Here's the eyes. Here's the little beak. It looks like it's puckering up its little beak. And this one looks like a person pointing at it. So to me, it feels like you have in your mind this kind of really idyllic little setup, or at least like it's something that you've worked for a long time, like the house, being able to like rent in an area where you wanted to like have your kids go to school, or whatever it is, like whatever your goals have been, you have met a lot of them, right? But I feel like there's a sense of being quite unfulfilled. Okay. Like a lot of stuff, and I think this is true for most of us, is that we've worked really hard to like set our lives up in a way that has probably worked out fairly decently, but then all of a sudden the world has just been in this state of free fall and disillusion lately, and I think a lot of us are looking around and thinking like, have I been enchanted? Have I been sold a false dream? Am I on a path that does, leads me to subservience? Maybe so. Maybe so. Is that to say that your life is bad or we've made wrong choices? Not necessarily. But we are awakening to what we've already known, but it's hitting on a deeper level, because so many of the things happen to be, I'm going to say true or real, because I don't know what either of those words actually even mean anymore, or ever. I've never believed in the idea of like an empirical truth or whatever. Anyways, so a lot of stuff that's kind of icky, kind of scary, kind of like, Have we all been collectively groomed? Yes, we knew that. But now it seems a lot more real and it makes a lot more sense. And we are forced to decide, like, what do you do with that? You know, what are we doing with that? And all of that is hard. It's all hard. But the other part of it is we look around at the people in our lives, including ourselves, and we might think, nobody's doing anything. At least very few people are doing anything. And what does that say? Also, on an even deeper level, how many people are being dismissive of how you are feeling about the things that we are starting to understand? Now, they're protecting their own psyche. We know that. But it's very telling. It's very telling. And that, to me, is where the thing is. That, to me, tells me what I've been saying all along. Baby, you better learn to save self. Because not only do a lot of people not know what to do, but a lot of people are choosing to stay in the delusion. Or even if they do believe it, even just a little bit, they can't bear, maybe it's that, or maybe they just don't care to, worry about the people in their lives who are being affected by these things, right? And I don't mean just directly, I mean collectively. Now, there are a lot of different groups of people, especially younger people, being affected by these kinds of things that I'm trying to very carefully talk about. And it's hard to just know. It's hard to know. What do we do? What is the level of reaction? I don't know. But I am seeing people in my own life and people online and people, I think just people I have the wonderful, wonderful fortune of having small conversations with, or interactions through emails or whatever, people reaching out to me and, whatever. I think a lot of people really don't know, how do I feel? How do you, what do we, And so I think that we also look at our lives and it's like, okay, so now a different light has been shown upon all of the stuff that felt okay before, or life felt like it made sense before, that it was solid, and now it doesn't, right? So we're going through this disenchantment, right? And even if you have, or you consider yourself a quote unquote awoken person, there's not just one awakening. Here's the thing, is the more you become aware of what is going on, and I don't just mean like the big parts of it, the huge story arcs, or the different people is involved, or whatever sector of if it's the sciences, or politics, or conflicts, or the spirit, even in the spiritual realm, so much in the occultism realm, so much infighting, right? So many things just going on every level. There's frenzy in the air, right? And I feel like there are certain people who, and I think that you are one of these people, who maybe because you've had things in your life that have prepared you to be able to witness this and not look away. Maybe you are just the person that has that endurance, the willpower, and the conviction, right? But with the lighthouse over here, it tells me that you are somebody who is here because you will help guide people. You will help be able to receive people, to create space for people. Not only yourself and not only, your very direct private people in your life. I do believe that you will be involved in some kind of, community or a grouping, or, maybe it is you start getting into helping rebuild local politics, or, whatever it is, advocacy. And so, or doing the work, you know what I mean? Finding people that you can do magic with, that you can pray with, that you can, be stewarding others. And I feel like there are just certain people that are being called to this. And I have a very clear feeling that this is something that you have manifested for. You have chosen to be in the corporeal body to help humanity through this next period. Now, I don't mean to overstate this and say you're going to be some iconic, cult of personality that sees us into the brave new world. That's not what I mean. But it is the people that are going to help. Even just, it's maybe you work in an office and there's super normie people that are starting to really trip out, and they don't know they don't know how to just, and you are able to be that calming force. You are able to come in there and, just now I know at work, I don't know, I haven't had a job in a place that upheld any kind of, I worked in the restaurant industry, you guys, so, front of house, back house, whatever, wherever you was at, you said what it was. That's why I always talk about on here, I'm a solitary practitioner, technically. I'm not initiated into any system, although, I'm adjacent and I've spent time in different communities, and especially chaos and all that. But I got my education in kitchens. Okay, I got my education eking it out with a bunch of underpaid, tired, overworked, working your third shift in a row. I don't mean 3 days, you've been there for 3 whole shifts, right? They done 24-hour places. that was my life. And that's where I really was initiated into the mysteries of the world, man. And so, but I know in some work environments you're not allowed to talk about, I guess, religion or stuff like that. But listen, sometimes it's just being in the room with people, changing the vibe, the frequency. But I think that you will, and I think it won't be you're organizing and, starting something. I will never promote anything like that on this channel because, as I said, I don't belong to stuff. You know what I mean? In all aspects, I belong to my family, I guess, right? My husband, my daughter, we're all clicked up. That's the only place that I belong to. But other than that, babe, why? You know what I mean? Why are you limiting yourself? So, but here's the deal, you know, we also, in small ways, really influence each other. So I'm never going to promote this, like, get together and do the dang thing. Like, you all have to wear the same color and, you know what I mean? Like, you all have to, like, haze each other. I don't even know what these, like, I don't know what groups of people do like that. But, you know, we all have eyes. So it's like, I'm not going to tell you to go role play or any of that stuff. But, like, just talking to people, connecting with somebody, they hear you, they feel your emotion, they feel your honesty, your clarity, your, I'm just gonna say, babe, that like changes lives, you know? I can think of like all the little moments in my life that really, like, I knew, like, this is it, man. This is the, you know? Sometimes they were curses. Sometimes, you know, I've been told things about myself, about what my future might be, like in the heat of the moment, the argument, the whatever. And babe, I remember that stuff for life. I will, you know, I will rise. It is my great, what did I hear the other day? Some lady had on a reel about, it was on from Rick and Morty, I think, where they said every breath I take in defiance, or every breath I take is in defiance. What is it? Now I have to read it. I can't misquote it because it was powerful. It was powerful. But the point is, like, we're elevating self. We're elevating the people that we are connected with through that love, through that building, through that, like, you know, gassing each other up, getting each other going, you know, and I mean getting each other going towards self-work, okay? Again, I can't emphasize this enough. I know some of my language would make you think that I want people to, like, you know, change the system or what. Listen, that's not any of my business, honestly. Not publicly anyways, right? But, like, I truly believe the only way that we change anything is by changing aspects of self, by healing, by integrating, by processing, okay? That's it. There's no other, I mean, love, right? Because the thing that comes from all of that is love, right? The thing that fuels all of that is love. All right, what was it? Every breath. Okay, let's see if it... Oh, here we go. Every breath I take without your permission raises my self-esteem. Every breath I take without your permission raises my self-esteem. You know what I'm saying? Babe. So anyways, we have the horse, we have the dog, right, on the leash. So I feel like there's just, oh no, it wasn't the dog, it was the turtle, right? It was the turtle, the snapping turtle. So to me, this is mastering patience, all right? That is that urge to just go buck wild, get distracted, off course. And with the horse too, it, you know, the hitting that stride, but sometimes, you know, you're going too fast to, like, notice everything. So to me, it's like slowing it down, but not slowing it down to the point where you're just stuck in stuff and you're ruminating and you're getting to that crabby. Dude, I don't know if you've ever met a snapping turtle. They come out of the lake I live next to every year. They're beautiful, but they're scared. They hiss. They're huge. They'll take your finger off. You got to be careful. So, and they're actually faster than you think. Like, I mean, they get to scooting, especially if they're on grass. So, I think it's just about slowing down, but not so much that you are having too much time to be overthinking. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Okay. Now, that pretty bird, that one to me tells me, and the person pointing at it too, right here. How did we see it before? Yes, like that. To me, the bird is always messaging. So I think kind of more literally, I was going to say maybe it's like a beautiful message. No, I think a beautiful person is bringing you the message. Okay. That to me, like, it almost feels like it's maybe like a sister, a best friend, somebody that just is so pretty, beautiful, angelic, soft. And I think that there's almost a sense of like duality there. I feel like you are in contrast to that to some degree, but you balance each other out, right? I think you really both like, you appreciate each other's differences, okay? So I feel like there's just this feeling of hope, a mound, some kind of earth deity, masculine though. I would say maybe like the Prince of Discs, but in the form of some kind of deity, votive thing. Maybe like Pueblo or I don't know, something desert. And we see that here. To me, what this represents is kind of being drawn into the wilderness. There's going to be at least a few nights of dreams. Now, the wilderness sometimes is going into a dark night of the soul where you feel like you have lost faith or you are questioning your faith. This is not that. This is more of like I'm going back to remember, or there's more that I need to learn here. Right? So I see you actually communing with this intelligence or this energy, this strand of consciousness. I also feel that beyond all of the stuff that does feel very scary, right, or troublesome to you, I really feel that there is a sense of great hope. Like you can't, like they won't be able to take that from you. You know what I mean? And I want to just pull a card for you. Yes, the Queen of Cups. Okay, so I just feel like you're really in a place where you have yourself together, especially in your reactions, your emotionality. It's not that you are so balanced that you're like the ultimate zen. It's that you know how to manage through those big swell ups of like fear and anger and rage. And you know, not that you're like biting your tongue and you're pushing it down. That's not what I mean. You know your moments. You know your moments. Okay? And I think that's the energy. Now let's do 3 lucky numbers. What do we have? Number 80. 80. 38. And this one is 96. 96. All right. Well, I love you. Thank you for being here with me. We will talk soon. If you want to like, subscribe, or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. I love you. I love you. I love you.